we are a software company. We build a ERP system, which is basically a business management software package. It helps businesses manage everything from inventory to invoicing, accounting, customer relationship management, all that back of the house business stuff that's taken care of. And our team is specifically focused on the front of the house, which entails the web marketing and e-commerce and helping people use the web as a communication tool to reach out to customers and build relationships over the web and hopefully turn those relationships into money. And that's what we want to talk about today. We are focused around e-commerce here, but really you'll notice the trend of today's conversation is really around web marketing. Web marketing is a little bit different than traditional standard forms of marketing. The web itself offers a lot of tools that standard marketers didn't have 10 or 15 years ago. In the web marketing world, the biggest change is the fact that everything is now measurable. In the past, Sierra and I were joking before the webinar about how in the past marketing was kind of a big, educated guessing game. A lot of times you would launch a marketing campaign, and if sales went up, you would just assume that marketing is doing a good job, and if sales didn't go up, then maybe marketing's not doing such a great job. Now, the guessing aspect is kind of pulled out of that with tools like Google Analytics and being able to see how many people are coming to your site, what they're doing when they get to the site, even going as far as like this Google Analytics visitor flow here that we're showing on the slide, showing how people are moving about your site, which pages they're going to, things like that. So web marketing focuses around using the web, using all the communication channels on the web like email marketing, social media, and your website itself. And that's really what we're going to be focusing on today, is how to use those tools to build relationships with customers.
So you may have recognized some of these buttons, like the join now and sign up and download now, all these buttons. They're called call to actions, and we use them on a lot of websites to get people to kind of do what we want them to do. It's calling the user on your website to do or perform some sort of action. And that relates with inbound marketing because we send out these call to action buttons to get the user to perform a task. Maybe it's giving us their email address or their phone number, some kind of information about themselves in order to get the free download, in order to get the white paper. So it's building that relationship. It's building that information from your user to your, maybe it's your CRM, which Xtuple has in their ERP system. We want to make sure that we're collecting all that information and storing it in some place in exchange for our resource to the user. The way that marketing used to work is that we would stand maybe on a platform of some sort and kind of shout out with a megaphone, here's all this information and here's these resources. But now, instead of pushing information out, we actually want to pull information in from the users. And we actually use that information that we're getting from the users to change our tactics or our strategy to get more information from them so that we can give that information to the sales folks so that they have warm leads, they have information about potential customers and things like that. So that's a strategy that is very effective, it's very useful.
Yeah, and what we have here, we have a diagram that kind of lays out that inbound strategy. And what we're going to talk about here in a minute is landing page strategy. With the diagram, what you'll see, you start with your different channels of communication. Those channels grasp the attention of your customers. You push them to a landing page to give them a little bit more information. And then you're using one of those calls to action, like Sierra pointed out, to gather info from the user and then hand that over to your sales team. So let's talk through these steps. This is a diagram that that kind of is a global overview of the concept. But when we dive in a little bit deeper, you focus on the different channels of communication that you use in web marketing. Everything from your social media to the email marketing, using blogs on your website, posting press releases throughout the web. The concept here is to use those communication tools in order to drive users to landing pages on your website. You don't necessarily want to send everybody to the front page of your website. If you're on Facebook and you're talking about some, white paper that's the top 10 best things about your industry, you want to drive the user directly to a page that it's specifically talking about that top 10 list. Once the user lands on the landing page, you should also do things to make the landing page feel a little bit more personal. If the user is coming from Facebook, it's a good idea to have on the landing page, "Thanks for checking us out from Facebook. We appreciate it." Those kinds of things make people feel like you're building a personal relationship from them. If they're coming from an email marketing campaign, you can say things like, "Thank you for subscribing to our email campaign. Here's that information that we were talking about." Another thing I want to point out too, it's really important that all of your landing pages are unique. And it's unique in the sense that one's talking about Facebook and one's talking about email marketing. But also think about your analytics here. If you launch a campaign and you're publishing information about a white paper and you're driving people to these landing pages in order to get them to follow through with the call to action, what you can do after the campaign is you can go back and look at your Google Analytics to see which of these landing pages is getting hit the most. That's really valuable information, because then you could say, okay, we had 100 people that landed on the Twitter landing page, and we only had 25 people that landed on the email marketing landing page. So basically what you find out is Twitter seems to be a much more powerful communication tool than the email marketing. That kind of information is extremely valuable, because then you can direct your marketing team and your sales team to start focusing on Twitter more. In a sense, you're starting to slowly learn more about your consumer or your customer. Once you get them on your landing page, as Sierra was talking about, you want to give them that call to action. So you give them a little bit of information, and then you say download now, or sign up for, or join now. What you're doing is you're enticing them with something, whether it's a white paper or maybe a video or more information. You're asking them to give you a little bit of info about themselves, like a first name, last name, and an email address. And in turn, by them submitting that information to you, and then you turn over what you've promised, you've just generated a lead. Now, this is a really strong lead, because not only is this person following you on some kind of communication platform, they're also going to your landing page and they're reading about the information that you're providing. And then they're going so far as to give you personal information in order to gain more info. I think the sales team would call this a warm, maybe even a hot lead. So once you've gathered that information, what you want to do is make sure that the user gets their item that you're promising, like the white paper or the video or the research information. But at the same time, you want to take the user's information and push it into your CRM. Once the information is in the CRM, in the future you can continue to reach out to that person through email marketing or through other campaigns. And at the same time, you can hand that information over to your sales team so that they can make contact with the user and follow up and say, we saw that you downloaded that white paper and you're interested in this topic. What kinds of questions do you have for us, or what kinds of things would you like to know? And by using these different channels, what you're doing is you're building relationships. With the web, you don't necessarily have a brick and mortar store where people are walking in and your sales guys have an opportunity to go out and shake hands and build a relationship. So in a sense, this inbound marketing tactic is, it's a virtual form of allowing people to walk in your front door and introduce themselves. So what kinds of tools can you use to make this whole process easier? Now, that one inbound marketing tactic that we just talked about, the reason we're putting so much emphasis on it, and all the books that we've read, all of the experience that we've had, inbound marketing, and you'll find this if you do research on it, it is the strongest form of marketing on the web right now. In order to do the things that we just described, there's a handful of things that you'll need. One of those, the first thing, is a content management system. And if you're not familiar with a content management system, some people call them CMSs. A CMS is a very easy to manage website. Here at Exupal, we build websites in a system called Drupal. There are also other systems like WordPress and Joomla. These are all open source systems that will allow a developer to build a website quickly and efficiently and make it incredibly easy for you to manage the content. I can tell you right now, if you own and operate a business and have a website that you have difficulty managing on your own, if updating content or loading new pictures or even posting videos is difficult for you, there are solutions out there to make it a lot easier. There's no reason why every person on your team shouldn't be able to log in and easily update content without knowing any code, without knowing anything about web development. And at the end of the day, your website is kind of like the central hub of your communication platform. It's where you're going to be sending everybody, and it's what you're going to use to push your messages out. So if you don't have a site that's easy to manage, you're really missing out. And it's definitely something to consider when thinking about upgrading. Some other great tools. Google has an entire suite of tools that are all free. They're all free except for the paid advertising. But Google offers a lot of tools that are free for web marketing. I'm going to talk about those a little bit more in the future. But Google, in a sense, they're kind of like the the ones carrying the flag at the front of the race with this whole web marketing process. These guys, obviously, Google kind of controls the internet, and they want to make it easier for people to be successful on the internet. So these tools are really important. Cognitive SEO and SEO Moz, these are other web-based tools that you can use. In the past, SEO is a very hot topic. It's a buzzword. It stands for search engine optimization, and it relates to how your site ranks on search engines. And tools like Cognitive SEO and SEO Moz, in the past, they were simply just showing you where you landed on Google search result pages. If you put in a keyword and you want to see if you're on the first page or you're on the second page, you could use tools like this to analyze that information, and also they would give you tools to increase the chances of you getting onto the first page of Google. SEO has changed a lot, and I'll talk about that more, but now these companies are helping people build and create impressive content, and then use that content to show up on search engine pages. So it's less about jamming keywords into your site and more about creating quality content. These are two paid-for services. They're definitely worth looking into. I would put them last on your list. Everything else that I'm going to be talking about today is either free or very inexpensive. And I would suggest spending some time getting really good with those tools before you spend $100 a month on SEO Moz or Cognitive SEO. Crazy Egg, I'll show you on the next page. Crazy Egg, I know it's kind of a crazy name, but it's a really powerful tool. This is a little snippet of code that you can drop on your website, and it will literally capture videos of people using your website. So you can log into Crazy Egg after using it for about a week, and it will literally have all these videos of people engaging with your site. science statistics have shown that 86% of mouse movements are echoing the user's eye movements. So, you know, as you're watching somebody use the site and they're moving the mouse around the screen, there's an 86% chance that what they're pointing at with the mouse is actually what they're looking at as well. So the video tracking is very powerful for understanding how people are navigating your site. The system will also do things like create heat maps. As you can see, this image here, it has a heat map, and all the bright areas represent spots on the site where the mouse ends up very often. Imagine how powerful this is. If you can look at a heat map that's covering, you know, 200 users, and maybe all of your calls to action are in the right sidebar, and there's no heat map showing that anybody's paying attention to the right sidebar, that's a quick, you know, you have to take quick action based on that information to move your information around so that it gets where the heat's at. Crazy Egg's not that expensive. I think it says there in the top it starts at $9 a month. You can also try it out for free, and you know, a developer can install this on your site pretty quickly. Another tool, this tool's free. This is a tool called Add This. Add This focuses on social media sharing. Again, you grab a snippet of code after you create an account on Add This on their website, and you drop that code into your website. And you'll see here, we're looking at Physicians for Peace. This is a nonprofit organization. And this bar off to the left, that's a sticky bar that has all the different icons, you know, Facebook and email and Twitter. And the user, as they're reading an article that they find interesting, they can click on Facebook and they can immediately start sharing this article with the user, or with the people that they're friends with on Facebook. So imagine how powerful that is. That's a free tool that you're installing on your website, and with a click of a button, someone is marketing on your behalf. If they stumble across one of your products or services that they find interesting, literally within seconds they can be sharing that information with all their friends. A lot of businesses that we've talked to in the past, they have a hard time understanding the importance of Facebook and Twitter in the business world. People, especially in the B2B world, you know, they have a hard time understanding the importance of social media, and it's really around things like this. When you create quality content or quality products or quality services that people want to talk about, they will talk about it. And the more you're being talked about on the web, the more popular you seem to Google, and the higher rankings you'll get in search engine results, the more action you'll start to see on your site. So as I mentioned before, Google has a suite of tools that are free, or except for AdWords, which you have to pay for. With Google's suite of tools, there's Google Analytics, which everyone should have. If you don't have Google Analytics installed on your site, I would suggest that you call us immediately and let us help you with that. It's not difficult to install. It's incredibly powerful software, and it's kind of the entry-level first task that anybody takes if you're thinking about web marketing. You have to get Google Analytics installed on your system. Once it's installed, it allows you to track how many users are coming to your site, how long they're staying, what kind of content they're looking at, which part of the world they're in. It'll narrow down to the city that the person's located in. It'll tell you what kind of technology they're using. It's just endless amounts of information, and it's outrageously important that you have it on your website. Google Webmaster Tools. This is another free service. This is a little more for the developers, but if your developers aren't using this, you might want to suggest it to them. This Webmaster Tools gives users the ability to basically push their website and content to Google and say, look, we have a website here, it has all this content. Google, we want you to read through it, we want you to index it. Google, tell us if there's anything wrong with the site that makes it difficult for people to find us, and we'll fix it. So in a sense, Webmaster Tools is kind of your portal to communicate with Google and ensure that your website's built in a way that is great for their search engine.
Another option is, or another tool to use is what's called Google AdWords. This is basically a ad that you create that will be presented or showcased on Google whenever a user clicks in the search bar some kind of long tail or short tail keyword. So if you are selling, and I'm going to use this example later, if you're selling shoes and you want to create an ad focusing on a specific type of shoe because you accidentally got a double order of it, and you want to, push everybody buy my red shoes, I have a million of them, then you can create a Google AdWord that will focus on shoes and the color red, etc. The only thing is you want to make sure that you keep those ads very short, because you only get 20 characters per line. You get a title, 2 lines, and URL. So your title can only be 20 characters, and the same thing with your 2 lines. So it has to be very direct, very to the point, and so buy now and all of that. I don't think you can use exclamation points or anything. I have a tendency to try to do that, but you can create an ad focusing on a particular topic, or download this white paper, or anything that you're trying to push out. And like I said, a URL. The URL on the ad can just say mycompany.com, but in the Google AdWords you can set it up to go to a very specific page, whether it's a landing page or a page that has that specific red shoe that you're trying to sell. That's up to you whenever you set it up. Another thing to keep in mind is that it is paid for. This is the only one that Josh mentioned that you do have to pay for. If you're a nonprofit, they have, or if you know somebody who's nonprofit who's looking for ads, they have some programs for them, but if you're a B2B or a B2C, then it is paid for. On average, you're probably going to spend about $1 per click. It's a pay-per-click campaign. And, but you can set up daily budgets, and you can set it up to run for a month or 3 months or however long. So you're really in control of this. You just have to get Google to basically approve it before it becomes live. We've had a number of clients in the past who have used these and seen great turnaround. You just have to keep trying it and keep massaging it and changing some of your words and things. It takes a little while to master the art of Google AdWords, if you will. So just one last note about that is you can have a variety of ads. You're not just limited to one. You can have 3 different campaigns that each of those 3 have 5 ads. So if we do our math right, we've got 15 different ads out there. You just have to pay for each click that a user clicks on that ad. So yeah.
Yeah, the other thing, AdWords isn't limited to just words. There's also Google ads that are display ads, meaning you can display, images in the sidebars of sites. You can also post videos in YouTube. So there's lots of different ways that you can advertise through Google. The one thing, just like the SEO Moz and everything, I'm hesitant to suggest AdWords to people that are just getting into the web marketing game. It is definite that if you are a brand new site, or you're a brand new service, or a brand new company, and you want to drive an enormous amount of traffic to your site very quickly, AdWords is the way to do it. What I have a hard time with is the conversions. Just because you are getting 300 hits a day, and that jumped up from 5 hits a day in the past, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's high quality traffic. What I really like to look at is the conversions. If you went from 5 hits a day up to 300 hits a day, and 30% of those users were converting into a customer or converting into a person that signed up for a white paper, then that's definitely worth it. But those kinds of AdWord campaigns we don't see those very often. So what I'm saying here is don't rush into anything with AdWords expecting immediate large results. The other thing we'll talk about are Google, using the Google Keyword Planner. The Keyword Planner is this awesome tool that allows you to punch in keywords, and Google will tell you how popular this keyword is, like how many people are searching for this keyword every month, and it'll also tell you how competitive that keyword is. So you know, if you put in, like Sierra used the example red shoes earlier, if you put in the keywords red shoes, it may come back and say 30,000 people looked for red shoes last month, and that is a highly competitive keyword, meaning there are just tons of sites that use the keyword red shoes. Using the Keyword Planner, what you want to do is you want to search for terms that have a high volume of search rate, lots of people are looking for it, but it's very low competition. So you know, you figure out some keywords that are associated with your business, your product, or your service. You use the Keyword Planner tool to search for those keywords, and you find the ones that have high volume, low competition. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about long-tail keyword strategies. At the end of the day, what you want to do is figure out what those keywords are, the really strong keywords, and you want to use those keywords over and over again in your marketing, whether it's in the content of your website or it's in your social media feeds or in your email marketing. So the long-tail keywords we'll get to in a minute, but before we dive into that, there's a couple other tactics that we want to go over. A big question, and I kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, is SEO dead? Or, you know, SEO has changed so much in the last couple years, and it's kind of a hot topic, at least in our industry right now. You know, I've talked with the owners of several SEO companies, and you know, I'll be honest, some of them have, you know, mentioned that they're looking for other business opportunities because they know SEO is not going to be around much longer. And let me explain what they mean by that. Google has kind of caught on to the tactics that SEO companies use in order to push people up on search engine result pages. What I mean is that these SEO companies in the past, they had kind of tricks for helping people get on the first page of Google. Using keywords or doing things like link building. There are a handful of different, as I call them, tricks to help people grow. Well, Google is now wise to those tricks, and they've pretty much eliminated the ability for those tricks to work in their search algorithm, and to the point that now they're even going so far as punishing websites that use those tricks. And when I say punishing them, like forcing sites to be on page 100 of the search results. And this is what is, you know, quote unquote killing SEO. Now, you know, philosophically, that doesn't mean SEO is dead. It just means that these tricks are dead. Search engine optimization, there's always going to be ways that you can improve the quality of your content in order to show up on search engine pages. But really what you have to focus on is being authentic and making sure that the information that you're posting is real and it's authentic and it's not just jammed full of keywords that don't really have anything to do with your content. If you're writing great articles and you're posting very valid, important information, you know, you're kind of doing the right thing anyway, and that's what Google wants to see. Sarah's going to talk a little bit about blogging, but all in all, I feel like blogging is replacing SEO. If you know, blogging on your site is definitely the best way to attract people.
And before I get into blogging, at the beginning we said that we'd be asking some questions, so heads up about that. If you can, on the right-hand side where your GoToWebinar screen is, it allows you to kind of raise your hand. So if you can, just raise your hand if either your website currently has a blog, or if somehow you're putting out white papers or some kind of information and sharing, things like that right now. So I'm going to give you a moment to raise your hand if you are blogging.
It looks like.
Oh, okay.
Not sure. Maybe they're not sure how to do that. Well, if everyone does understand how to do it, and it looks like no one's using blogs.
Okay. Well, if you're not using blogs currently, I'm just going to stress that blogs are really important for your site, for getting people to come to your site. And like Josh said earlier, your website is probably 90% of your marketing tool. You want people to come back to your site, and you want to be a resource for your customers and consumers. So they say that content is king, and that is probably kind of a buzz phrase, if you will, that having quality content and having a lot of content on a regular basis is really important. So you want to submit content as often as possible, and you want to make sure that it's not just buzzwords and keywords, that there's really good information in that content. So instead of having maybe one good blog per 3 months, you kind of want to switch that strategy and have 3 really good blogs each month. So like I said, having lots of information out there and having the chance for your user to come to your website and learn not just necessarily about what your services are and what you are doing, but you want to focus those blogs on solving those problems that your sales team might keep hearing, or maybe even it's your developers or your the people on your staff say, you know, we keep hearing this problem from our customers, or we found out this is why we're losing so many customers. You want to focus your blogs on answering those questions, answering those problems, and really gear it towards the people that you're trying to serve.
Yeah, one thing I want to add too, usually when we're having face-to-face meetings with clients, I would say about 90% of the time this is when the client starts rolling their eyes and they say, you know, who wants to read a blog about my industry? Yeah. Fortunately, a couple months ago we met a very forward-thinking gentleman that runs a plumbing distribution company in New York. And you know, you would think the distribution of plumbing equipment is probably the least read blog on the internet. Like really, who wants to talk about pipes and toilets? His comment was that, you know, he uses his blog to talk about products, to talk about new trends in the industry, to talk about things that are coming out and new, you know, tactics and things that are important to plumbers. And his comment was that when he started blogging, when they started adding blogs and videos and they hired a blog team to work with, they definitely saw an increase in traffic to their site, and that increase in traffic over time turned into an increase in sales. So, you know, my comment is that if this guy can write about toilets and see an increase in sales, you know, I'm sure that everybody we're talking to today, or the people that are going to be listening to this video in the future, whatever it is that you do, there are people that are interested in hearing about it and learning.
Yeah. And the data geek in me will say that make sure that you're tracking all of this. Use your Google Analytics and see how many people are hitting your blog, and maybe look and see which blogs more people are reading, how many of them have bounce rates and things like that. So track and measure your blogs. Allow comments to be made and open that door for conversation. But I will warn you, by opening that door, you also need to be responsible and answer whenever people have questions. So if somebody's reading a blog about, you know, a plumbing problem and they ask a question, it's your responsibility to make sure that you answer it as quickly as you can, because you want to be that resource. You want to be that trusted plumbing industry person to go to. And if you can earn that trust with your user, then they're going to keep coming back to you. And if their friend or neighbor or parent or someone has a plumbing problem, guess who they're going to recommend? They're going to tell them that, oh, I read this blog and they were so helpful, and you should use them too. So be a resource and solve their problems. In those blogs, you're going to want to use what's called long-tail keywords. And we kind of touched on this earlier. Let me go back to my red shoes analogy. Think about whenever you are researching a product or some kind of shopping online, and you're looking for red shoes. You probably type in the search bar, I want red shoes. But that's one of those short keywords that Josh was talking about earlier that thousands and thousands of people are searching it, but that's a lot of competition for you.
And let me explain to with the red shoes example. If you are a customer and you're searching for red shoes, you're kind of a customer that's not really ready to buy. I mean, the variety of red shoes that are out there, right. You haven't really narrowed down what you're looking for yet. Right. And as Sierra was saying, millions of people are going to be looking for red shoes, and millions of websites are going to be talking about red shoes. Right. So lots of competition there.
Right. So what you want to do when you're writing your blogs or your content on your site, you want to focus on what's called long-tail keywords. So if I'm the user, if I'm the one searching for red shoes, I do lots of research, and I narrow it down, and I realize I want red high tops in size 9. That is a long-tail keyword. That's a very specific product. If you want to throw in a brand or some other description, that's an even longer tail keyword, and those are really great because here's the thing. Before, when I was just looking for red shoes, I was doing research. But by the time I get to red high top size 9, I've got my credit card in my hand and I am ready to buy. So using those long tail keywords will really help you jump up in the search, and they're not, like I said, they're not researching anymore. They're ready to buy your products.
Yeah, so if we can come full circle here, what you would do to make this work is you would start with your keyword planner, your Google tool, the keyword planner, and you would find these long tail keywords associated with your industry or your product or your service. And what you're looking for is high volume and very low competition. And when you get that list of topics, you want to take those topics and write blog articles around those topics. So if, let's just use this red shoe size 9 high tops. If that's a long tail keyword that not a lot of sites can provide information about, then you can write an article that talks about somehow you're talking about these red high tops in size 9. Or maybe you're displaying that product, or maybe you're going into detail about how great you feel when you're in your red high tops, whatever it may be. But you're going to see traffic coming in through your blog to your site by those kinds of keywords.
Another tactic is A/B testing, and I'm a big fan of testing to see what type of landing pages or what kind of content is working for the website and getting us warmer leads and things. There's two different ways to really do testing. There's one that's called A/B testing, which is two forms that are very similar, and you're just finding out which one has higher traffic. There's another that's called multivariate testing, where you have maybe it's 4 different versions, and all of those 4 different versions are really different. So maybe it's a big image at the top and a web form on the right-hand side, and version number 2 is just a web form and some content. Version 3 is even completely different. So I would suggest starting with maybe 4 different versions and then narrowing it down to just A and B, and comparing those to see which one is getting more click-throughs, which one's getting more traffic, which one is really solidifying some of those users. There's an example that Josh was telling me about where one of our clients, they did A/B testing, and all they did, they just wanted to check out the call to action button. It was a particular color, I want to say it was green, and they wanted to see how it would change their click-through rates. Thank you. If they changed that button to a different color. So would red be more effective, or yellow, or maybe blue? And after they tested it, they found that the blue click-through or the call to action button gave them so much higher click-through rates. So doing those kinds of testing really help you identify how to change your pages to increase those click-throughs and increase conversions in the end.
Yeah, specifically there was a 20% increase in click-throughs because they changed from green to blue on the call to action button. So that's a little bit about A/B testing. Affiliate systems. Affiliate systems are probably something you're already familiar with. It's pretty standard. Someone out there is talking about your product. They're directing people to your company, and then the person that they direct to your company ends up making a sale, and that affiliate that sent the person to your company ends up getting a percentage of that sale. There are affiliate systems that work on the internet as well. A lot of these folks are bloggers, and what they'll do is they'll write articles that highlight your products. Or they'll write a blog and they'll have ads in their sidebar. And what they're doing is anybody they send to your site and that person ends up making a purchase, there are these affiliate systems like LinkShare that will track that process. And it'll notify the blogger, the affiliate, that a purchase has been made by one of the visitors that they sent, and they'll get a cut of whatever it is that you're making. Affiliate systems, I'm only bringing those up because they really do work. LinkShare specifically is the system that I've seen work the best. So if you can get past, the concept of giving a percentage over to someone else, this is definitely a great way to drive traffic to your site and increase sales. We've seen a lot of people be successful with it.
Now, one thing not to do is to constantly talk about just yourself and your services. Like I've said before, you want to make sure to think about who your target audience is and what their problems are, what their pain states and headaches are, and provide solutions for that. So let's say you've got a lot of snow shovels and it's in the middle of July. No one in Florida cares if you have snow shovels right now. They're going to want to know about your sale on sunscreen and very summery things. So think not about what is in your warehouse and what you have and what you're doing, but think about your clients and your customers and consumers and what they want or need from you and how you can solve their problems.
Yeah, the biggest thing I would say not to do, just avoid those SEO tactics that they're called black hat tactics. Things like link building, keyword jamming, stuff like that. Just avoid it. It'll do nothing but bad for you and your company. All right. So to wrap things up, we have a handful of resources here. This is an outstanding book called Growth Hacker. It talks about web marketing. It's very progressive and full of great ideas and great information. The folks at HubSpot, they wrote this outstanding book about inbound marketing. A lot of what we talked about today is talked about in more detail in this book. The idea of driving people to your site through great information and then getting their personal information so you can build a relationship with them.
Content Rules is a great book on if you're stuck and you're like the plumber and you just don't know how to create content on plumbing. It gives you some great ideas about how to cater to your industry and to your clients and how to really engage customers so that you can get higher traffic.
And then here are two websites that are very helpful. Copy Hacker is a terrific site that talks about how to talk to your audience, tactics for driving up traffic to your site, and how to blog well. And then HubSpot, I bring them up again. HubSpot has the HubSpot Academy where you can literally take courses on inbound marketing and web marketing tactics. So there are two sites that you definitely should check out. So that's everything for today. Obviously, we're happy to answer any questions that anyone has. I know we took a little while to talk, so if there are any questions that are left behind, we will email you and make sure that your questions get answered. But
I don't
feel
think
free
we
to
have
post
any questions.
I do want to say thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. And like Josh said, if you have any questions, feel free to email us, sales@xtuple.com, and we'll be happy to get you all taken care of. So,
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks for your time today.